what's up you guys, this is Rob from Gay Guy Plays, and today we're going to take a look at last month's releases, the patch notes you may have missed, we'll be scouring the dev streams for what's been hashtag confirmed, and I'll be taking to Twitter to see who's been DT killing it on June's installment of the month in Warframe. So starting with the only weapon release of the month, in update 18.14 we've got the Dark Split Sword. Now this one really peeved a lot of people because they were hoping it would function like the Stradivar, being able to swap forms mid-mission rather than being forced to swap stances in between missions in order to trigger the change. Now from my interactions with the devs, I know it's something they would like to see too, but to be completely honest with you, with the workload they currently have on their plates, I sincerely doubt that we'll be seeing it anytime soon. Now, I'm not sure if this still works, but if you haven't already gotten the Dark Split Sword's Duelist skin, whose code was popped on screen during the E3 PC Gaming Show, hit the Warframe store and select promo codes and enter in PC Gaming Show 2016 in all caps. Again, it may have already expired, but you can always give it a shot. So in addition to the Dark Split Sword, we've also got 4 new Syndicate Augment mods. Creeping Terrify, which adds a slow to Necros' Terrify ability, which I think is absolutely fantastic, giving Necros yet another feasible build path. Legitimately, I think he's got some of the best augments in game, which honestly allow him to thrive in very diverse environments. So if you haven't played him recently, go show him some love. Next is Avara's Infiltrate, which grants her Prowl a movement speed buff and the ability to bypass all laser fields without being detected. For real this time, the Lunaro update actually fixed being detected by void lasers and Grineer detection fields on spy tile sets. So for those of you who don't crave challenges on spy missions, enjoy easy mode. Moving on, Wukong got Primal Rage, which grants you a 10% increase to your bow's critical chance for each enemy killed. Now the percentage does decay over time, however with the bow's length, you can usually land multiple kills at once, which definitely help you maintain a very high crit chance. If you play Wukong a lot, this one is definitely a must-have, unlike the second mod they released for him, Iron Volt. Now this one allows Iron Jab to launch you into the air when it's not buggy, and if you execute a ground slam after, you gain 500% bonus damage to any enemies directly struck by your melee weapon, and the AoE is increased by 15 meters, which is also affected by power range mods. Basically, the only legitimate use for this one is being able to spread ground slam effects over a large area, like the Karis Toxin status, the Ether Sword's radiation, and the Jack Tag's ability to ragdoll. It's interesting, but a little too wacky to build around for me at least. Now, the last thing released in update 18.14 was new operator customizations. So be aware the faces and markings are all free. However, the new hairstyles and accessories are 15 plat apiece. Okay, so I've been getting a lot of requests to do a DTK on operator customizations, but can I just tell you, it's weird. I mean, I get Warframes, it's like customizing a car or a piece of clothing, but customizing your operator is like telling you what your face should look like, and I don't quite feel comfortable with that. But what I do feel comfortable with showing you is the new Riv Elite Armor and Riv Arcada skin that was released with the Lunaro update. It is gorgeous. It works on so many frames, especially prime frames, because the PBR is fucking fantastic with them. Now these are available both in the market for plat as well as through Teshin via Conclave Standing. In addition, there is a Riv Minguard armor which I haven't picked up yet but is available as a cheaper alternative. However, it is solely available via Standing, and to be honest, I want to pick up some of the other Conclave skins before I start with the poor people Lunaro armor, okay? Now technically this last one isn't a new release, but they have unvaulted Mag Prime, Boar Prime, Docker Prime, and the Targus Prime armor set. You can buy all 4 along with a set of Mag Prime avatars and 1,200 plat for $59.99 American. However, all the Mag, Boar, and Docker Prime blueprints are currently farmable in the Void. Just know that these items will become unavailable again this July 26th for North America, July 27th for Europe and Asia, and July 28th for Japan. Moving on to patch notes you may have missed, there are a lot of things that are going on with Lunaro. However, I'll cover the current state of the game mode at the end of this feature. So instead, let's do a very quick jump to update 18.14, where Helios' Detect Invulnerability got a slight damage boost, now granting a 2.75 multiplier instead of a 2.5. But let's be real here, no one actually cares, we just want our fucking Kavats already. Now let's move on to the Lunaro update, which had several interesting tidbits. So starting with the least interesting, they added in a new Executioner to the level 60 and 85 Grineer arenas. Executioner Durham has a chance at dropping the uncommon mod Silent Battery, which lowers the noise level of your shotgun. Surprise, surprise, no one really cares, but at least you know it exists, right? Next up, they fixed the bug I was moaning about in my Dark Split Sword video regarding the Maiming Strike mod that would grant you a 90% crit chance during a slide attack. It will now apply the increased critical chance whether or not you are currently holding down the spacebar. Moving along to some fixes, in addition to Ivara's Prowl, Ash's Fatal Teleport augment has been fixed, so now it does a better job of automatically triggering on enemies, and after a bit of playtesting, it does seem to be working a lot better with standard enemies. However, it does occasionally have trouble with some infested and robotic enemies that can only be finished from behind. But then again, that is just what I call playing hard to get. Sadly, our next fix hurts my heart, because apparently Valkyrie's Hysteria was unintentionally doubling the effects of efficiency mods, so the drain on her energy pool has become far more prominent after this patch. At 150 power from full to empty, you're gonna be looking at a little over 55 seconds of killing time with an optimized duration and efficiency combo. So make sure you keep that in mind for modding, just in case you need to make any adjustments. Now onto Lunaro 4, which interestingly made login rewards like Prime Fury no longer tradable. This was to dissuade people from creating multiple accounts in order to farm them. Kinda like a certain someone that was farming plant discounts but claims that that wasn't the reason he got banned. But let's leave that ugliness in the past, right where it belongs. So Lunaro 5 brought some improvements to Volt. Volt can now use his shield to ragdoll enemies while he's sprinting with it. In addition, he can now place up to 6 shields instead of maxing out at 4. And lastly, Volt's speed has been changed back to an AoE, affecting all allies in range. However, teammates can now backflip to get rid of Volt's speed effect, much like they can with Limbo's Banish. Because no means no, you damn witch! Now, before we move on, let's do a quick overview of Lunaro in its current state. For those of you who only played it at its launch, it's now a 3v3 format, it's had its checking speed reduced, and granted players a 2-second immunity to damage and staggers after being knocked down, as well as a 5-second immunity to being staggered after you've been staggered, which for some people is absolutely awesome, and for other people, like me, is completely heartbreaking. They've also improved matchmaking a little bit, where if the two teams joining have an uneven amount of players, it will wait till both teams have the exact same amount of players before the match timer begins. So if you haven't given it a shot since its release, it's definitely a good time to get into it. Alrighty, now moving on to #confirmed. Although we only had one dev stream to pull from this month, due to E3 and TennoCon, there's actually a decent amount to cover. Now, first off, Rebecca showed off the in-game model for Titania, which looks totally badass. Too bad we're gonna have to wait for the War Within for her release. However, coming very soon are the 2 new Kovats. The Cheshire, which passively grants you random bonuses from rare resources to full shield restores, also has the ability to go invisible, leaving a decoy to draw enemy fire. The Mirror Kovat, however, passively grants short duration bonuses to critical chance, as well as reflecting damage back at its attackers. The new kitties will be sharing many of the mods that your Kubros are currently using, but will of course have some unique ones of their own. Now, coming along with the Kavats is an upgrade to the Genetic Foundry that will allow you to instantly mature both your Kavats and Kubros, instead of being forced to wait 2 rotations. They have also confirmed that both the puppy and kitty forms of the Kavats and Kubros will be able to roam your ship freely, with the intent to also make this feature available to full-grown companions in a future update. The next thing they showed off was the new projection system, which is taking over the original key system in the Void. Now, to clarify, the Void isn't going away, it will just be like any other tile set and won't rely on a key to access it. Now, not only did I watch the dev stream, but I also had a dev explain it to me, and to be honest with you, I am still not 100% clear on how everything works. So take the following with a grain of salt. What I got from everything was, you would plug in a void projection, which apparently you'll be able to examine in the codex to see its potential rewards, much like you can examine enemies. Then, you'd hunt down a void tear, which will appear in the same menu that you'll find your alerts and sorties in. These void tears will be tiered and can appear on any nodes in the star chart. Now, from what they've said, the void tears will be a unique event where you combat the things that erupt from the tear. After you're done, you'll head back to your ship and use that void energy to quote-unquote manifest the item. Now, apparently you'll be able to bank the residual scraps to use on future void projections and help increase the chances of pulling out a specific rarity. I'm sure it's a lot less complicated than it sounds, but honestly, we'll just have to wait and see for ourselves. In that same vein, Steve also gave us a look at the new star chart, which admittedly looks pretty damn amazing. They also dropped the bomb that with the new update, both veteran and new players alike will have to battle through the new junctions to gain access to the different regions of the star chart. Apparently, there are some pretty cool rewards that will be doled out, as well as some lore introduced, so it sounds like something we won't want to miss. Moving along, they also gave us a sneak peek at the art for the new Healer class Arcwing, which looks absolutely amazing. They showed off the new physics for the Arcwing movement, which, to be honest with you, I'm a little little worried about, as I kinda really like it the way it is. And last but not least, they previewed the new Pursuit game mode where you chase down big ships who will use various tactics to escape. Honestly, I'm super glad that they're giving a little attention to Arcwing because it is one of my favorite modes in game. And the last thing that I want to mention, which I honestly couldn't find a good gap to smoothly insert it into, Scott also stated that they're currently planning on introducing the Lunaro Arcada to PvE combat, saying that you'll be able to chuck your balls at the enemies, swing around your Arcada, and also recall the Lunaro. So as a big Lunaro fan, I can't wait to see how that works out. I'm gonna forma the shit out of that motherfucker. Now, let's carry that Lunaro theme right on over to this month's edition of DT Killing It, starting with this awesome Frost Prime from @mayhem_89. It combines some of my favorite tones as well as the new Riv Elite Lunaro armor to create an overall warm look for one of our coolest frames. Moving along, I've got a pair of dramatically different mag Alta customizations, starting with @ButNotYenrei, who pulled out this blazing hot mag that looks like it came straight out of Hunger Games sporting the Pirate Prime Syandana, which is pretty fitting as with her recent rework, this girl is definitely on fire. On the other end of the spectrum, we've got one from @Heralos who submitted this almost Tron-inspired mag. Now, I'm gonna be real with you, he didn't actually give me his color codes, but the thing is, all the parts that I usually make dark, he made light, which I thought was so interesting that I had to feature it. So I just pulled what I could from the original Twitter image and tossed together some codes myself. Okay, so that concludes what could possibly be the very last edition for the month in Warframe. Now, I'm not sure if it's the meds talking, but I'm considering restructuring the format, possibly breaking up each thing into its own segment. Maybe doing #confirm the weekend after each dev stream, and just doing patch notes at the end of the month. Let me know what you think about that in the comment section below, or if I should just keep it as it is now. So, if you like this installment, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and more importantly, share it if you think it's worth sharing. Now, don't forget to do all the things that I ask you to do at the end of every one of these, and as always, love somebody, hurt nobody, and touch your body. I'll see you guys at TennoCon. Bye!